Okay, and today's class we're going to discuss about Azure
Okay.
Storage, is known as the Azure Storage. So, what is my Azure Storage? Is
S3.
like S3 in the AWS. It is like a S3 in the AWS.
Yeah.
So, do you remember S3? Simple Storage Service in AWS. So, S3 will
Yes.
provide the unlimited storage. Unlimited storage. Okay. Same thing here. This one also it provides the unlimited storage. Which one? Azure Storage. Microsoft Azure Storage is a cloud service that allows to store the data securely in the cloud and access it anytime, anywhere. Okay, which one? Azure Storage. In simple words, Azure
Internet.
Storage is like a hard disk on the internet.
Azure
Hard disk on the
Storage. Yeah.
which one? Azure Storage. Okay. So why you Azure Storage is important? Azure Storage is very cheap compared to a disk. Okay. Generally, how where we can store the data in Azure, we have a disks are there. In the disk, we're going to add store the data. Generally, okay, we create a disk and add or store the data. What happens? Disk is having a limited size. Whenever we create a disk, the disk having a limited size. When the data, when you store data over the period of the time, it filled. Then again we need to
Yeah.
add the new disk. We need to add the new disk. Okay. So what happens here? So every time we need to add the new disk or we can scale or upgrade the disk. Hard disk need to add the expand the disk. Okay, instead of that, when you go for the Azure storage, we don't need to do expand or we don't need to do scale. So when you pick the data is stored in Azure storage, automatically
Okay.
the storage
Yeah.
will expanded.
I mean,
Storage will
it
be
it
expanded.
gets bigger the
Understand?
more you put things in. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Same S3. Huh? Okay. And it is highly available. In generally, when you store the data inside the disk, it will limit it to only single availability zone. Wherever you create in, if suppose a disk is created in the one availability zone, and the data is there in the only availability zone. Okay, if the availability zone goes down, if you not taken the backup, the data also goes down. Okay,
Good.
and there is a loss chance of loss of data, loss of data. But in Azure Storage or S3, AWS S3, it will replicate the data in the multi-availability zone. Whenever you upload the data, when you store the data, the data is there in the multi-availability zone. Is
Yeah.
there in the multi multi-availability zone. And also data is encrypted, like
Okay.
encrypted by default. Whatever the data will be there, encrypted default. Okay. And the scalable, I told you that scalable means it automatically scale. You don't need to scale. It automatically scale. It we don't need to scale. It automatically scale. Okay. This Azure storage is generally used for the web apps to store web apps used by the web apps. Here VMs and backups and
Yes.
DevOps pipeline.
Yeah.
DevOps pipeline. Okay. Understood? Here a storage account is a container. What is mean storage account? Storage account? A storage account is a container for all storage service. Even though AWS S3 is also a container where we store store the data.
Yeah.
Okay, storage account is nothing but a folder. Okay, it's a container. Inside that we're going to store the data. We're going to store the data. Okay. So their storage account contains the multiple things. One is the blob storage. Okay. Second thing is the file storage. Third
Okay.
thing is the queue storage. And fourth one the table storage. And the next thing is the disk storage. Okay. Disk storage. There are multiple types of storage account. In this one, storage account contains multiple things. One blob storage for one purpose and a file storage for another purpose, queue storage is for another purpose, table storage another purpose. Generally blob storage uh, can store data, unstructured data, mean that you can store any type of data. It may be image, it may be video, it may be notepad files, it may be
Okay.
code, anything you can upload in the blob storage. Okay. Whereas file storage generally used for the file shares. I want to share the file. Okay. Generally we share the file in the network. Generally we share the file or folder in the network. Generally, we share the folder in the network. Same thing here. The file storage used for the
Okay.
sharing the files or folders in the network. Okay. Queue and table
Database.
storage are used for the databases. For the databases. Here, disk storage is nothing but where we can store the
Yeah.
virtual machine. Where we can store the virtual machine. Okay. Here, see this. Why you use the Azure Blob storage? This is the mostly used Blob storage. What is the blob storage? Used to store the unstructured data. There are multiple types of in this container, Azure storage container,
Queue
multiple
storage,
types. One is the blob
table, and
storage,
disk.
file storage, queue storage, and table storage. Okay. Here in the blob storage,
Like
used to store
photos and stuff like that.
unstructured data. Is that?
Yeah, yeah. PDF. Okay.
Example are what? Images, videos, PDFs, backups, logs. Okay. The structure is that first anything you want to store the data inside the Azure storage, first we need to create a
Storage
storage
account.
account.
Then
First we need to
create
create a
container. Then blob file.
inside the storage account we have a
Blob file. Yeah.
inside the container we have a
Yes.
blob file. Got it? Okay. So here, see here. Okay, see here. This again this blob file. Again this blob. There are three types of blobs are there. One is the blob. Second one is append blob, and third one is a page blob. The blob used to store image, videos, and documents. Okay, image, videos, and document. Okay, append blobs are used for the logs. Logs. Whereas page
PM.
blobs are used for the
Yeah.
VM disk. Page blobs are used for the VM disk. Okay. Okay. And in AWS, do you remember that we had discussed about Azure storage class, AWS storage classes, S3 storage classes like, what is that? Do you remember AWS S3 storage classes? One is the standard class and standard infrequent access. Azure, sorry, AWS Glacier infrequent access. Do you remember that
Uh,
types of storage classes in AWS?
yes, yes, yes. Standard,
Storage
standard,
classes,
intelligent,
standard,
infrequent access, then
infrequent
zone,
access,
one
uh,
zone. Yeah.
uh,
Glacier. Yeah.
uh,
Glacier, flexible.
yes,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly,
Deep
exactly.
archive.
Wh-
Yeah.
What is yes, exactly, exactly. So, what is my storage classes? The storage classes are nothing but to reduce the cost. We'll have a multiple storage classes are there. By
Cost
using the storage
optimization.
classes, we can do the cost optimization. We can do the cost optimization. Okay. So by the default, whenever you upload the data, it will be in the default class. So if you keep longer
Promo.
duration, you need to pay the more money. You need to pay the more money. Instead of that, we're going to transit the data from will or move or migrate the data from one storage class to another
Yes.
storage class to reduce the cost. Okay. Generally, whenever you upload the data, it will be there in standard class. So when it is in standard class, what happen? If you keep more time, like more duration, longer duration, you need to pay more money. To avoid that situation, we're going to migrate or transfer the data from one storage class to
Yes.
another storage
Cost.
class to reduce the cost. To reduce the cost. Here also in Azure also there are multiple tiers are there. Here hot, cool, cold archive tier. Brother, hot,
Yeah.
cool, cold and
Yes.
archive tier. Okay, understood? Hot, cool and cold and archive tier. The hot tier is nothing but a frequently accessed data. Mean that
Yeah.
like in AWS it is like a standard class. Okay, okay. I want to reduce the cost. I just migrate transition the data from one class to other class. Means I move to the hot to cold. There is another class is there. New class they added. Cool to cold. Cold to archive. Cold to archive. Hot is frequently accessed. Cost is high. Cool is medium cost, rare access, infrequent access.
Yeah.
Archive is lowest cost and a long-term backup. Okay. And Azure file storage, here we have Azure file storage is there. Azure file storage is nothing but I want to share a file over the network. Over the network. Generally, the people will share the folder or file. Okay, to access other
Yeah.
people, they will share a file over the network. Okay, when the share or folder is shared over the network, the people access anywhere. Same thing here. The share can be
Okay.
done by
Okay.
using the file share. Which one? File storage. Okay, works like a
Yeah.
network drive. Which one? This file storage works as a what? Network drive. And support the SMB and NFS. SMB means server message block, which is to share between the Windows machine. Windows machine. Generally, Windows machines are shared by
Yeah. And
using
then
the
if it's
SMB service. By using the SMB service,
okay.
Windows operating system will share the service. Okay. Whereas I want to share the uh, I want to share between the Linux machine. I want to
Yeah.
share between the
Yeah.
Linux machine. You go for the NFS. Okay.
Yeah.
NFS stand for Network File System. Okay. Network file
Okay.
system. When I want to share between the Windows machine, we'll go for the SMB. This file
Okay.
storage will
Okay.
support
Got it
SMB
now.
and
Yeah.
NFS.
I was thinking about the
Okay.
difference, SMB and FS. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So because of I am a Linux administrator, when I used to work
Okay.
like 10 years back, I used to work as a Linux administrator.
Yeah.
I
I did
done
it
Red
too,
Hat
sir,
Linux
but I
administration
never wrote
course.
the exam.
I written the exam also, but
uh,
in olden days, not right now,
I
like this
did
10
both
years back.
courses, the
That is
Linux
expired. Actually, we
administrator
have
and the
3 years more.
engineering one that has the Ansible. I did both courses.
Okay.
Yeah, but I never wrote the
Okay,
exam.
okay. Ansible also done. Okay.
Oh, yeah, a little bit, sir. Not,
Okay, you know everything about
when
Ansible,
you
huh?
don't practice, you forget, you know. But I know somehow, yeah,
Okay.
how to
Okay.
how, how to write the
So this is the
playbooks
share
and
folder for
everything. Yeah,
multiple VMs. Which one? File storage is like a share
yeah,
for share folder for multiple VMs. I want to share a folder between the virtual machine.
yeah,
Then I go for which one? Azure file
yeah.
storage. Understand? Okay. So what is mean by queue storage? Queue storage is nothing but a message built communication between the apps. Okay. Apps. Okay, I have a front end. In the front end app, I just place the order in the Amazon. Then it will how the communicate the front end will communicate. App will be communicate with the database by
Tuesday.
using the
Yeah,
queue service. Understand? Queue storage. Use it for the message based communication between the apps. Example, order is when you order is placed, message goes to the queue. Backend service process the
yeah.
order later. Okay, order later. Here Here, why we need queue service? To decouple application, improve the performance used
Microservices.
in the microservices. Used in the microservice. So there are two types of services are there. I think I had explained in during the load balancer.
Micros.
And one more time. One
Yes.
is the monolithic application. Second one is the microservices application. In monolithic application, everything we will create as a single unit. Whereas microservices application we will use as uh, different thing. Like instead of
Yeah.
developing the single
Yes. Yes.
unit,
Yes.
having a
Yes.
multi-unit like distributed architecture. Okay. Here Azure table storage is nothing but where we can store the semi-structured data like NoSQL data like DynamoDB, Cosmos DB. We can store the SQL data. Which one?
Table
Azure
store.
storage. Azure table storage. Azure table storage. So these are no SQL storage and we can semi-structured data. Use cases are like when you create a user profile in Facebook, when you create a Facebook user profile, when you create a Instagram profile, then this use the NoSQL and this they store in the which
Yes.
one? Azure table storage. Understood? Your device data like application metadata they store in the Azure table storage. Okay,
Yes.
understand? Okay. And another thing is there, Azure disk storage. We have discussed the disk previous class. Use your virtual machine where we can put the virtual machines. I want to run the virtual machine. Then inside the disk storage, we're going to run the Azure virtual machine. Okay. Okay. So I told you that there are multiple types of disk are there. One is standard HDD, standard SSD, premium SSD, ultra disk. Okay, the standard SSD having low cost, standard SSD is the balanced cost, premium SSD is high performance, whereas the ultra disk is for the mission critical. Like in AWS, we have a GP2, GP3, IO1,
Yes.
IO2, IO3. Same thing here also. Okay,
Yes. Yes.
so I think I discussed in previous also. Okay, understood. So here we're going to create a which one? Azure Storage. Azure Storage. Okay. We're going to create a which one? Azure Storage. Okay. I'm just going to log into the Azure account. Then we're going to create a Azure Storage. So defaultly, whenever I create a Azure Storage in S3 also in AWS, but default behavior is
Yes.
the bucket is then private in nature, isn't it? It is in private. Here also, whenever you create a Azure Storage account, by default, it is there in the private. It is there in the private. Okay, is there in the private. Then when you make it as public, mean that everyone can access. Okay,
Yes.
everyone can access. Understand? Okay. So what does mean contain this Azure storage can first to
Azure
access this
Storage.
service? First we need to create a Azure storage account. First we need to create a Azure storage account. Storage account. So inside the Azure storage account we have a container. We have a container. Inside the container we're going to upload the
Yeah.
objects. We're going to upload the objects. Understand? Now to create a storage account, go to the storage, type storage account, type storage account. Okay. Now you can see here object storage, huh? File storage. Now you can see here
Yeah. Azure
together.
file sync. Yeah.
Okay. From this one, we're going to create a storage account. We're going to create a storage account. From the we'll just go to the storage account. Okay. Then we'll be create a storage account. We're going to create a storage account. Okay. Here I just go to the resource here. Click on create. Click on create. Okay. Another thing there, uh, during the S3 bucket, the S3 bucket is what? It is a global service where the name should be globally unique. Do you remember? Do you remember?
What?
What is the S3 namespace? How will you give the S3
Oh
namespace?
yeah. 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 Yeah.
It is a
Globally
globally
unique. Yeah.
unique, globally unique S3 name. Same here, when you are when you are giving the name for the storage account, it should be globally
Yes.
unique. Got it? The name should be globally
Yes.
unique. Understand? Here also globally unique name. If you give the
Yeah.
name, then it won't accept. It won't accept. Okay. Now I just give the name as a storage account name as a Juhaib. Sorry,
Yeah.
Kamrul. Okay, Kamrul STG. What is the name I am giving here? I think it will accept. I just give the name as Kamrul STG 123.
That's the
Okay.
register.
What is the name I
Yeah.
had given?
Yeah.
Kamrul STG 123. Okay. And should be globally unique. If you give the same name, if you give the same name, whatever the name I entered, it will get error. Get a error. The name should be globally unique. Understood? Okay. And here it is asking for the deployment, which region I want to deploy. Of course, I will just always deploy in the EOC store. Okay. Here you can check here, choose the preferred storage, which storage I want to prefer. Whether I want to prefer Azure Blob storage, whether I want to prefer Azure file storage, or whether I want to store the table or queue storage. Just now I explained the blob storage, file storage,
Yeah.
and table and queues. Blob storage is for the unstructured data. You can
Yeah.
upload images, upload PDF. Okay, understood. Whereas Azure files are used for the
Yeah.
sharing the folder between the network, sharing the folder between the VMs over the network is known as Azure files. Whereas tables and queues are
Databases.
used for the databases. For the which one? It's databases. Right
Yeah.
now, I just select which one? Azure Blob Storage. Okay, which one? Azure Blob Storage. And which thing you want to primary workload is there, whether I want to use big data analytics, whether I want to use for this one for backup and archive, whether I want to use for the cloud native, whether I want to use for high performance computing, whether I want to use for machine learning and artificial intelligence or other. So I just select a big data analytics, anything. Okay, select a big data analytics. And another thing is there are two types of option is there. One is the standard option. You can check in standard option. There is a multiple option is there. Okay, in this one, you can check here in the storage how the redundancy will be provided. Okay, how the redundancy will be provided. Okay, there are four options are there. Check here, brother.
Four options.
How many options are there in the redundancy? One is LRS, second is the GRS, and third one is ZRS, and
Yeah.
fourth one is the GZRS. Understood? I'll explain you. Okay, what does mean? Okay, it's nothing but how the keep the data will be redundancy will be provided. How the redundancy will be provided. Understood? Here, how the redundancy will provide the storage account. Okay. So what is the redundant? Mean that if any case, if any one of the data will be
Yeah.
lost, there is another copy is there. That is nothing but redundant. Okay. So how many types of redundancy will be provided? One is the LRS, second one is the ZRS, and uh, next is the next is the GRS, and next thing is GZRS. Understood? Okay. Here, if you see this LRS, what happens in LRS? See this. Okay. What happen here? Whenever you write a data, whenever you upload a data storage account, it will keep the data in the single data center multiple copies. Do you understand? It will keep. I just uploaded a I just uploaded a video. Okay, understood. The video which you uploaded, the file, it will keep three copies in the same data center. Three copies in the three hard disk, different. Understood? Here, see this. It will keep the three copies instead of generally in disk we'll have one single copy is there. What is the main advantage of storage account? It will keep the three copies in the same data center.
Yes.
Understood? It will keep the data three copies in the same data center, but in different places, different racks. Which one? LRS. If any one of the copy having issue is there, mean that there is two copies are there, extra two copies are there. But thing is there, it will keep in the same data center, locally redundant.
Yes.
Understood? What is that? Local redundant storage replicate the data within the storage account in a single physical data center. In the single physical data center, in the primary region of choice. Okay, although choosing an availability zone is not supported, Azure might move to the expanded LRS account. What is my LRS account? Whenever you create a data, whenever you upload the data, it will keep three copies in the same availability zone, same data center or same availability zone. Do you understand? It won't keep in the multiple availability zone. But what happens if the availability zone goes
What?
down? What happens if availability zone? What happens when
Oh, I don't know
availability zone
what
goes
your
down?
question is, sir.
No, no, no. So this LRS will
Okay,
keep the
okay.
data in the same data center, same
Okay,
availability
okay.
zone.
Okay.
It won't
Yeah.
keep the data in the multi availability zone. Okay.
Okay.
It will keep the three copies in the same availability zone, brother.
Everything goes
What
down.
happens when the availability zone goes down?
Yeah.
Yes. But having it, these are cheapest cost.
Yeah.
These are cheapest cost. Which one? LRS. Okay. So this LRS is good choice for applications store the data can easily reconstruct if the data loss occurs. Consider the choosing LRS. I don't mind that if the data is lost, no problem for me. Then I choose for which one? LRS. Okay. Okay. Next is the which one? ZRS. ZRS stand for zone redundant storage. The how the zone redundant storage, it will keep the data in the multiple availability zone.
Multiple.
Keep the data in the
Yeah.
multiple availability zone. Understand? So the data, whatever the data you upload, it will keep one copy in the one availability zone, another copy in the other
Yeah.
availability zone, another copy in the another availability zone. You can check this image. What happens here? If any one of the data center goes down, there is another copy is there in another data
Yes.
center. Understood?
ZRS. Yeah.
Which one?
Zone readiness.
ZRS. Which one? So ZRS stand for zone redundant storage. Data within the storage accounts are
Three or more.
it will keep in
More
three or more
availability zone.
availability zone. It will keep in the three or
ZRS.
availability zone.
Yeah.
Which one? Which one? ZRS. Here, here, see this. So this one, geo redundant storage, whatever the copies, it will keep in the multi region. Previously, it is the multi availability zone. This is for the multi region. What it? Multi region means I have had two regions are there. One is the central India, another one is the South India. So whenever I upload the data, upload the data to the Azure storage, it will keep three copies in the one region. It will keep another three copies in another region, not availability zone. It will keep three copies in the one region. It will keep another three copies in another region. This any chance of region goes down, there is region outage, still we can access, we have a copies there in another region.
Yes.
Understood? So this geo redundant storage will provide the redundancy in the multi region. The first one will keep the data on the single availability zone. The second will keep the data in the multi-availability zone. And this one will keep
Yes.
the data in multi-region. Understood?
Yes. Yeah.
Region. Which one? GRS. Of course, the cost is high. Of course, the cost is high. When the data is keep in the multi-region, we need to pay more.
Yeah.
Which one?
Yes.
GRS. Understood? Here, in the another G zone, geo zone redundant storage, that is a GZRS. How the copies will here and previously it will keep in the single availability zones in the single region. Here also single availability zone, single another region. But here in the GZRS, it will keep the three copies in the multi availability zone one region, and it will keep the three copies in the another availability zone in the other region. Okay, in the primary region, three availability zone. Okay, multi availability zone. Inside the region, it will keep in the three availability zone. The previous one will keep in the three copies in the same region, only single availability zone. But
Yeah.
it will keep the data in the multi availability zone. Okay. Again, it will keep the three
Yes.
copies in the another region. Another region.
GZR.
Understood?
Yeah.
Which one? GZRS. Understood? So this is the how the Azure will keep the redundancy. Redundancy by providing LRS and GZRS and GZRS. Okay. Now here I just select here. I just select here which one?
Yes.
LRS.
LRS.
Okay. Understood? I selected which one? So
Lowest cost.
which is having which one? The lowest cost. It's having a lowest cost.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Done? Okay. Okay. Now in the just go to the advanced tab. Okay. So when you have a advanced tab, there are multiple options are there. There is a required secure transfer for REST APIs. There is an option is there. Allow enabling anonymous access on the individual container. Mean that the containers which are we creating the container should be public or private. Whenever you create a storage account, the containers are in the private mode. So if you don't enable, then it will be default. It will act as
Yeah.
which one? Private. Which one? Private. Okay. I want to access the, I want to give the access of public access. We need to enable this option. Remember this in the advanced tab. Which one? In the advanced tab, we need to enable the allow
Yes.
anonymous access on the individual containers. Understood?
Yeah.
By the default, S3 is there in private, isn't it? Okay. So here also by the default, when you create the Azure storage account,
Correct.
blobs and containers are in the private. In the private default. So then if you enable here anonymous access,
Yeah.
then only it will become the public. Got it?
Yes.
You got it or not? Here again in the networking, whether I want to give the public access, mean that through internet I want to access or inside the data center. If you disable, then you can access. You don't access from the internet. I want to access storage from internet. Then we need to access the which
Okay.
option? Public network access enable.
And
Okay,
the option number three,
understood.
it's like a firewall,
So here,
like AWS. We put rules inbound and out. Yeah, yeah. It's same thing. No, no. The previous one,
this one,
secure by perimeter, most restricted.
this one,
Sir, I read it out to you. Secured
this
by
one,
perimeter.
this one.
Third one, enable,
In this one,
disable,
networking,
and
in which
secure
tab?
by perimeter. Can't you see, sir? Most restricted. Sir, secure by perimeter. Look, look, look.
This one.
Below the
Uh,
disable. You see that? It's a
okay.
just like AWS, right? The inbound and outbound rule
Yes.
that we control, same thing. Okay, okay. Thank you. Just making sure. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Yes. Here, data protection, I want to
Ah,
make data protection. You can enable the data protection for Blob
7 days.
also. If you enable, then it will keep the
Okay,
data
okay,
for
okay.
the 7
Okay,
days.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Here, see this.
yeah.
Okay. By the default, it will retain the data for the 7 days. Okay.
Okay.
Even though if you delete, it will keep in 7 days in the account. Okay. So
Second
now,
one
to make it as public, which option we need to enable here?
becomes
Enable.
gets
If you don't
stays
enable, then what
private.
happened?
Public access
So networking,
enable.
we keep as a
Yeah,
no. Just click on the review and create. Click on the
yeah.
review and create. It will create a storage account. Okay. Inside the storage
Container,
account, there is a container will be there. What is that?
container, then
Inside the
a
storage
blob,
container, what we have?
blob. Yeah,
We
yeah.
need again inside the container we have a object. We have a object. So now it will create a
Storage
which
account.
one? Adjust storage account. Adjust storage account. Once the storage account is created, I created a storage account as a public. Okay. Anonymous access I had given. Mean that everyone can access. Mean that everyone can access. When you have if you don't give an option enable anonymous access enable, owner can access only the object. Mean that in the Azure account, from the Azure portal only we can access the objects only. Okay. Generally, I want to keep the data of, I want to create a website, I want to keep the data of the website, then I'll make it as a storage account as a public only. If you don't keep the public, then how will you upload or how we can access the website content? The website content, I just kept the content in the storage account. If you make it as private, then from the internet we can't access, other people cannot access. We'll make
Yes.
it as a public only. Okay. Now created a which one? Storage account. Created a storage account. Okay. So inside the storage account, you can check here. There are multiple options are there. So many options are there. So this one, this data storage again. We
Containers.
have which one? Containers. We have a just click on containers. The container name should be anything. Okay. By default, whenever you create a storage account, the one container is created. There is a log container. Here I just go to the click on the add container and I just give the name as a C1 container.
Yeah.
Okay, you can give any name. You can give any name, no problem. Okay, you can give any name. Here there is an option is there because we have chosen anonymous access. Whether I want to make it as private, whether I want to make it as read only, whether I want to make it as a container anonymous read access to the container reads and plops. Okay, so I want to make it private. I can make it
Yeah.
private also. We
Yes.
can make it as a private also. Okay, understood. So here I'll just select here. I want to make it as anonymous read access for blobs only. I can select the blob. I want to make it access as anonymous
Okay.
access for the container and blobs. I select this one. Okay. Then click and create. Click on the create. Okay. Once the container is created, once the container is created, so inside this container we're going to upload the objects. We're going to upload the objects. I just click on the container here. Now the same thing in the previous thing, inside S3 bucket we can upload the data, we can upload the objects. Okay, here also there is an option
Yes.
is there, upload. Okay, there is an option is there, upload. Just click on the upload here, and you have option is there, browse for files, browse for files. So then browse for files, or we can drag and drop also. And this one I just go to the desktop, I'll just upload an image. Okay, just click on the upload, just click on the upload. Okay, I just created a storage account. Inside the
Okay.
storage account, I created a container. Inside the container, I upload a object. Okay. So whenever you upload the object, as how to access this object, whenever the object is created, whenever object is created, upload, it will create an endpoint to access. How it is created? The same thing we
So,
did in the same thing whatever that we did in the
so
AWS
if
also.
I
Here, how it is
paste
created
it on
to
the
access the.
browser, am I going to see it? Okay. You can
Yes.
share the link because I want to check how it looks like. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, it's working.
Oh, I
Okay.
cannot
If you
see.
don't give the anonymous access, what happens?
Yeah.
Can we?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes.
So
Nice.
I'm accessing through internet. You can check the link here. You can check the link here. How the endpoint is created.
So
The same
instead
thing
of
like
us
AWS.
using Google
You
Drive,
can check
we
the
can
link here.
easily use AWS or Azure, right? To save and everything. Instead of yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes, yes, yes.
Which one? Ah, of course, of course, of course, of course, of course.
No, I use Google
You can go
Drive.
for the Google Drive
Yeah.
also, no problem. Depend. No, it depends upon that how it everyone having their preferences. How it may be not like someone will choose S3, someone will choose
Okay.
Google Drive, someone will choose Azure Storage. Okay, I have seen people. There's even generally people they use S3 also. S3
Yeah,
depends upon
yeah.
that. Okay, cost and their preferences. Okay, here see this. This is the storage account now. Check here. What is the storage
Yeah,
account
yeah,
name
yeah,
had
yeah.
given? Here. How it is created? The endpoint is created. Come rule stg123 is the storage account, and this one
Default
is the
DNS.
which one? This one is the default DNS. What is that?
Yes.
And this one is the which one? Container name. Okay. This one is what? Container name.
Object
And
name.
this one is the object name. This one is
Yeah.
what? Understood? Okay.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So this is same like a object, how you derive the object in the S3. In S3 also the same thing. Object, whenever the object is uploaded, the endpoint will be created. The
Yes.
endpoint will be look like same in the AWS also. Okay. So here we can keep, first we need to create a storage account. Inside the storage account we need to create a container. Inside the container we
Object.
need to
Yes.
upload the
Yes.
object. Upload the object. Okay. And we can keep this object as private and public also. We can keep this object
Yes.
as a public and private also. Okay. Whenever you change the option in the container, when you set the option as a read only, then it will become the read only. There are multiple options are there. If you keep private, then no other
Yes.
people can access the uh, object. Okay. Here I
Yes.
just keep as public access.
Yeah.
I just keep as a public access. Okay. Understood? Here there is an option is there, upload option, upload option. When you just click on this advanced option, I want to
Folder.
upload the object to specific folder. Specific. I want to create a folder.
Yes.
Inside the folder, I want to keep my objects. Do you understand? Instead that here I just click on
Advanced.
the option. Which option? Advanced option. Which option? So I want to upload this object to a specific folder. I want to give the name a folder.
Yeah.
Inside the folder, I want to keep my objects. Okay. I
Control.
just give the name as a
Yeah.
Kamrul. Folder name is what? Kamrul. Okay. Just given the name. Okay. And browse the files here. Whether I want to keep in the same container, I want to create a new container. That's your choice. Whether I want to keep in the same container or I want to create the other container. Just click on the browse files here. And I'll just go to the files. I'll just upload. I'll just keep this three. Then open. Just click on the task.
Yeah.
Now I can check here
Okay.
the
Okay.
folder
Okay.
inside
Yes.
the object.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes. The same thing.
It is like a same like a
Easier.
S3.
Easier than S3.
It is similar to S3. Same like a S3.
S. Yeah.
It's the same thing like a S3. Okay. So S3 storage account
Yeah.
and S3 are almost the same. The same purpose. Okay. So I want to delete here the same thing like just go here, click on this one. This you can delete option is
Yeah.
there. You can delete option is there. You can delete also. You can delete also. Okay. Whether I want to delete the storage account, that is the same thing like when you delete the resource group, the storage account also deleted. Okay, storage account also deleted. Or else you can separately we can delete
Yeah.
the storage account also. Storage account also. Okay. And another thing is there when you click on this one, this storage. Whenever I click on this object,
Yeah.
do you remember
Yes.
static website in the AWS? We created a static website. Here also we can create a static website. We
Yes.
create a static website. Okay. Here there are two types of websites are there: static website, dynamic website. By using S3, we created a static website. Here, by using
Okay.
Azure Storage also, we can create a static website. Okay. So here you can check here under the
Yes.
data management
Static
tab, we
website.
have a static website option is
Yes.
there. What is that? Static website option is there. So tomorrow I'll show you how to create a website and upload the
Okay. Okay.
small project of the
Okay.
website to the static
Register.
website. Okay, by using Azure Storage. By using the Azure Storage. So in meantime, I just send the video to you. I
Okay.
just
Yeah.
go to the
I will.
video and try to do practice.
Thank you,
Okay.
sir. Thank you. You take
Okay.
care. Good night.
Tomorrow I'll see you. Okay.
Bye.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.